children laughing or hi, I'm John Mikula. I'm game director of Mr. Run and Jump. Did you wind up going for ice cream last week? Really? Your kids are like, "Hey, can we go for ice cream?" You're like, "Shut up, no." You kidding? Uh, no one can hear you. It's probably for the best. I mean, you're getting pretty heated about your kid wanting ice cream. All those swears you were saying. Ooh, we might have gotten taken down if people could hear you.
Razor Siren Mini. Test 1 2. Yes, keep them. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. All better? All right, we are all better. Allow me to rewind and reissue my rant. Yes, my kids wanted to go for ice cream last week. No, we did not go. And no, I do not care. Love my children. They can get their own ice cream. I do not want to be caught in that sweaty, sticky, marshmallow and caramel dripping down your hands line. Not for me, John.
It's so sad.
No, thank you. Oh,
I don't
come
know.
on.
Something about that really bummed me out. You're
No,
just
come
like,
on,
"Oh,
dude.
Dad,
No,
please."
you want to go stand in the ice cream line. I don't. I can tell in your smile and in your grin, you want ice cream right now, don't you? If I said, John, let's go get ice cream, you'd be like, yeah, tell me where. I know a great spot.
Dude, if you absolutely, I would 100% leave and go get some ice cream right now.
It's a terrible idea.
But I can't because I got to stream.
What about there's a new place called like the Bear Claw in St. Louis, and they put all the ice cream in between these two hot chocolate chip cookies or whatever. So you're basically making an ice cream sandwich, but you get to pick the cookies and you can mix and match. So if you want gooey butter cake cookie, which is a special thing here in St. Louis, you can top it with like birthday cake cookie, which is delicious, I admit. Then you got to smash through that. And then you got to get cookie crumbs all in your melted ice cream hands. But it's actually pretty delicious.
That was called the Bear Claw. Is that right?
Pretty sure. Yeah, check it out. Mm-hmm. It's in downtown St. Charles, which is kind of like this, I'm calling it like cottage community. Like it's cobblestone road. It has this kind of old world vibe. And it's just right at the tail end of that old school strip. And it is good. It's good. But you got to know the environment. You walk in, right? It's so hot outside. And you walk into this place and it's got to be like 62 degrees in there, and you get hit with like the sugar smell. You close your eyes. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. And then you get in there and it's like freezing inside. And everybody's holding their cup with a spoon stabbed in it. And then the checkout counter in this place is no bigger than my mouse pad. And everybody's going in there with like 8 people trying to check out all these like contraptions of ice cream on a checkout counter that is like this big. You got me fired up again about this ice cream.
I'm just imagining like you go home and your kids are like
delightful.
This was like
childhood.
way back. before we had like before cable, I guess, was like a widely, just accepted thing in people's homes. My parents made like my sister and I write an essay about why the family should get cable for our
Okay.
TVs. I'm imagining like the same thing. Like you make your kids have to write a persuasive essay of why, like, please just once can we, can
No,
you stop working and we go get some frozen treats,
no. See,
please?
I've warped the perception because the reason why I don't want to get ice cream is because it's not like a random treat. Like it is like constant. These fools want ice cream all the time. Um, all the time. Hey, we've got some new names in the chat. Artifice GD cannot hear me, but can hear me now. SX Tempu, good to see you. I've seen you in a few other places. I've seen you out and around on the interwebs. Thanks for joining. And whole persuasive essay for ice cream. Never happened. Never happened.
It wouldn't matter, right? Because you would just rip it up and throw it away.
Not at all. I would be
Happy.
totally into it. See, that's the kind of parent I am. Like, if effort shows up, effort is rewarded. But I don't want them sitting on, like, pulling their face up from their iPad and, like, been watching YouTube all day and being like, hey, what's my banana split? I need a rocky road. I'm like, come on, man. You just got home working like 14 hours and you've been on the iPad and now you want some rocky road. Ain't happening. But if they showed up with a compelling PowerPoint presentation or Google Slides, I'm cool with that too. I'd be persuaded. Here's the test, John. All right, here's the test. Anybody that wants to follow Mr. Run and Jump on Twitter or Instagram or any of these places, this weekend, I will go take these children to get ice cream and I will take a picture and I will tweet it from these places. So go follow us because I need followers more than I need ice cream.
You want to set like a goal or something? Be like, if Mr. Run and Jump gets like 10 new followers or whatever.
Sure. 10
You'll
new
take your kids
followers.
out for ice cream.
Didn't I already give I already gave like a cookie reward for somebody? I think I owe people cookies from Phil's stream.
Oh, I forget how that went.
Yes. Hey, Gavin. I knew it was you. I didn't know if you wanted me to out you on the interwebs. But it's good to
Who's this?
This is Gavin. Gavin is an artist and student of game design. And I'm glad you're here, Gavin. It's good to see you on the stream. My impression of my children, all of my impressions of everybody, it's not that they smoke 12 packs a day. That's my Jersey. That's my Jersey accent. Hey. And you know where it came from? Is because almost all of our clients, this is another tirade side story, but all of our clients that aren't like typical game developers, sometimes will do like agency work here at Graphite Lab. And they always reference like amazingly expensive games like World of Warcraft and give me Among Us or something. Like, yeah, we want to make this in like 2 weeks. And so I developed this character, all respect to our clients, of course, but this character impression that I would do, which is like, hey, can y'all make it like Fortnite? And it got this like Jersey accent. So yeah, me and John always joke like, we need to get a little bit of Fortnite in there. So I can't say Fortnite in a regular voice. It has to be an accent. So much respect to anybody from Jersey whose accent I just butchered, but yeah, bear with me.
It's not even like an accent. It's just like
It's because I'm usually better at it. But gosh, we just lost all of our Jersey followers. I'm sorry.
Oh, jeez. Gavin's from Jersey. He's pissed now.
But Jason
he's
is
not
from
gonna follow
Jersey.
You. Who's from Jersey?
Jason, Atari Jason.
Oh yeah,
I believe is on the Jersey side. So Jason has left, but I think Mark will support my accent. So anyway, now that I'm good and fired up, now that I've warmed up my Jersey impersonation, what's the topic for today, John? What have we got while I run through Mr. Runny and Jump?
Well, Matt, so we made a game. It's called Mr. Run and Jump. The game is just about done. In fact, it's almost out. It's almost available for people to go log on to Steam or PlayStation or whatever, throw some money and buy the thing, and they could play it for themselves. We're almost there.
Oh yeah.
But you know, the maybe one of the hardest parts of making a game is getting people to go out and do that process, to go out and give us a couple bucks, and so that they can play the game. So we're in kind of that marketing push, right? Like that's kind of, I mean, that's why we're here right now, live on the internet, is we're trying to get the word out there. So that's kind of the topic for this particular stream is, just how do you go about getting the word out? What is it like marketing a game like Mr. Run and Jump?
For sure. Let me finish my attention on this terrible run of 1 minute and 3 seconds. Yeah, launches. I mean, everything you do, if you're doing it for, I mean, all of us here at Graphite Lab, we all work full time, at the studio. So this is really our livelihood. And man, you can't feed people and keep insurance and everything else like that without, driving products. So one moment. Getting a little screen sharing here.
Yeah, I couldn't see the.
There we go. So yeah, I mean, we want to charge fair price. We want to make great game, but ultimately you got to get your game out there. Now, Atari takes a large leg of that, right? They generally lead the effort and they connect with a lot of people. But as a team, I love this process. It's pretty thrilling to be out there and doing this and connecting with fans directly. So this really isn't all on us, but a couple of weeks ago, you shared a video with me that was all about launching specifically on Steam and focusing on wish lists. So that video, if you'll kind of be our guide today, had a few key points that you and I talked about over Slack and in person a little bit. And the first one said, drive all of your marketing towards growing your wish list. And so we've launched 3 games. We've launched Hive Jump, we've launched Combinera, and now Mr. Run and Jump. And in the first game, Hive Jump, we had quite a lot of wish lists. So on principle, I think I support that idea that as many wish lists as you can get, all the better, right? So that logic's pretty hard to argue with. If we had 1 million wish lists, that would be better than having 2 wish lists, right? So I agree that getting more wish lists is better. I don't know anybody that disagree with that, but what are some of the ways, or what are some of those like early observations that you noticed in that video that commented on that process? Was there anything like right off the bat that hit your mind that you're like, hold on, me and Matt got to talk about this because this is worth talking about?
Yeah, so this is a video called "How to Market a Game on Steam." This is by, the speaker is a guy. I'm trying to look up his name. Oh, Chris Zukowski,
Okay.
who has, he's a bona fide, I guess, marketing consultant for indie games, and his, and he's quoted from a number of different places. I've seen him quoted on RIP Waypoints before that got shut down. There was an article about this topic, basically, of how to market, with so many games being released, how do you get anyone to pay attention to anything?
Sure.
So yeah, he's got a video with the Georgia Game Developers Association. He's also been featured on NoClip. He has a GDC talk. He's got a number of different places have featured him, and he's talking about this subject of like indie games broadly. How do you get success, with these games? How do you market, without like these huge marketing teams and these huge marketing budgets and things like that? Yeah, his, this video is particularly about Steam. He opens kind of the video, talking about wish lists, or I guess he opens the video talking about the evolution of Steam and how games get on Steam. And so I don't know if you remember, like, Steam Greenlight, when we were doing Hive Jump, that was still a thing.
Of course.
Where you like, just the barrier to entry to get on Steam was higher to a degree where like, okay, you put something together, you get it on there, but then people had to go onto Steam Greenlight and then upvote games that they wanted to play.
Right.
And so this was kind of Steam's filtering process for a long time.
Now,
And
let me interrupt you there, John, because I remember it took us about 45 days to get through Greenlight with Hive Jump. It wasn't like 3 or 4 days. Like, it was over a month that it took us just to go through that process of getting approved to even have a chance at releasing on Steam. So significant investment of time, calendar-wise, and just effort to promote and try and get those upvotes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I was gonna say I'm not sure exactly what happened to Steam Greenlight. I mean, they did away with it, but I'm not.
They did.
Exactly sure when or what maybe their like Valve's internal reasoning was, but
so the reasoning is that how Greenlight worked is you would eventually just continue to grab cumulative votes. So basically it was like, all right, you could wait, a year, and then even if your game wasn't really all that good, you could eventually get enough clicks, or you could kind of scam the system to try and get in. Now you just pay money, right? So there was a lot of controversy, I recall, when that change happened. And I want to say it was somewhere around 2017, I want to say. But there was a lot of discussion, posts back and forth between developers and players too, of is this going to make more junk show up on Steam, or is it going to be better for the overall? Anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, so it was a situation like they got rid of it, and then of course, like the number of games available on Steam like balloons, like it goes exponentially crazy. And this is kind of why wish lists matter, because there's such a flood of games releasing on Steam every day that when you are a game that has a lot of wish lists, when you do eventually release, your game will get featured on, excuse me, here I'm trying to look it up. It's like the new, like the tab at the bottom of Steam. It's like the new and upcoming, like popular upcoming.
Yep.
There's also like new and trending, and then like top sellers, I guess, is based on like sales metrics and things like that. But,
right.
But the idea is like you are about to launch your game, or it launches, and this is kind of the metric Steam uses is these wish list numbers. So the video posits like approximately 7,000. Like if you have around 7,000 wish lists, you have enough that like on average you're doing a lot better than other games releasing at the same time as you. So Steam is going to bump you up on these like new and trending and popular upcoming lists that they have in Steam. And then there's other things like the featured and recommended. I'm not actually sure what populates those. Those might be a little more based on your play history. Like if you play a lot of shooters or something, it might populate that with more like popular or upcoming shooter games and things like that. But but that's the thing, is like YouTube people talk about this all the time. Like our lives are driven by algorithms. So there's so much content generally, like any place, TikTok or Twitter or wherever, like everything, everybody comes out with an algorithm to sift through the gunk and give you things it thinks you're gonna like. So Steam is kind of no different in that regard. So yeah, that's kind of the thing, is like the video posits, like if you get around 7,000 wish lists, you've kind of cleared like the first of the great filters, right? Where okay, now like the algorithms that drive Steam are seeing like, okay, this is not like shovelware garbage. Let's give it some stuff. So that's kind of I guess the I don't know, the thesis for the rest of the video is like, okay, like how do you use the rest of the tools at your disposal to drive wish lists?
Right.
And actually, you know, beyond that, the first point the video makes is how much genre matters on Steam.
Yeah.
So it goes and it's like I'd have to look. I have the video up. I can maybe try to find
Yeah,
the
see if you can
graphs and
find
used and
that.
all that.
In the meantime, I want to hear from people in the chat. Um, two of the genres that it mentions are puzzle games and platformers, which ironically, although not threateningly, are two of the games that we released on Steam recently. So we had a puzzle game that was a platformer, Combinera, that came out last April, and did critically very well. And popular on PlayStation, popular on Switch. But Steam just didn't really seem to be a place where people were connecting with Combinera as much. So one example of this statement ringing true was, all right, for puzzle, maybe not as much, but also Steam in terms of its categories didn't give a lot of attention to puzzle games over the last couple of years. There wasn't a separate category for it. So the puzzle argument, I could concede. Platformer feels weird to me though, and I'm not sure why. Is it because Steam might be considered more of a PC user's, tool? Because it is, and because it's PC, you're going to be connected to a keyboard and mouse, and so you're not going to play platformer unless you get a controller. I don't know, like there might be something there. But to say platformers don't hit well on Steam seemed really weird to me.
So here's kind of what we're looking at. We're looking at game genre median earnings versus number of games released since 2019. Over the past couple of years for different genres, how many games were released, and then there's like a line graph showing like how much that game has earned. And so at the front of the list, like, it'd be nicer if people could see this, but the bar graph is kind of all over the place. Like, there's not like a nice clean trend to this. Like, there's a clean trend in like, of course, like how like everything's organized so that like, you know, the most popular or the highest earning genres are placed to the left, and then the lowest earning are placed to the right, and then, you know, the bar graph kind of determines like how many of these games have been released. So it's kind of all over the place. There's not like a clean correlation between the two, but there are, like, you know, so according to this graph, you know, the highest earning genres are roguelike deck builder, 4X, simulation management.
Well, define some games in these genres, like roguelike deck builder. Like, what are we talking about there? Like Magic the Gathering?
That's Slay the Spire.
Okay.
And games like Slay the Spire.
Okay.
4X is like Civilization.
Sure. Which are like massive games.
Right, yeah. So yeah, the idea is like, you know, there's, you know, not a lot of roguelike deck builders out there, but they make a ton of money. The ones that are out there, people just throw money at them.
Okay.
And yeah, like, and then at the back of the list, you know, here, why don't you guess what according to this, the lowest earning genre is on Steam?
Is it platformers?
No, close. So we have
puzzle platformers.
So you have puzzle, 2D platformer, 3D platformer, and then there's one more. What do you think the least earning genre according to this graph is?
I've been looking at this bullfrog, so my brain is dead. 2D puzzle platformer?
No, it's Battle Royale.
What? Like the Battle Royale, like...
That's what it says. It says Battle Royale is the least earning.
Is it because they take their... like the big ones have taken themselves off of Steam? Like, can you even play Fortnite on Steam anymore? I'm assuming not.
You can't play it on Steam. I wonder if it's like a factor of like all these games launch and they're free, and then this graph doesn't keep track of like in-app purchases and things like that.
Yeah, it would have to, because, you know, I'm not like hearing about all the Battle Royale rush anymore, but like they can't be making no money. So yeah, that seems crazy. What about like games like Tetris 99 and others that fit kind of into that franchise, but loosely. Do you think those would be included in there?
That's a good question.
Or like,
I'm actually not sure.
does anybody consider something like Fall Guys to be battle royale? I mean, it's competitive, it's massively competitive, but it's not really like a battle royale.
Yeah, in like a weird way, like
Team
because
platformer? I don't know.
you go through rounds, and then if you fail a round, you get eliminated,
Yeah,
or there's like a cutoff point, like 50 people are gonna be eliminated this round or whatever.
yeah,
Uh, but so yeah, the video kind of concludes like would this section be like it posits like, hey, Steam players are looking for very specific things. It's looking for like games that are endlessly replayable with like really deep gameplay mechanics with a lot of like mechanical kind of crunchiness.
okay.
A lot of these are yeah, like uh, well, yeah. Again, I don't know. This is part of the video I kind of have problems with, right? Because it makes this claim, but then it doesn't quite back it up necessarily. So you have like, it's really vague. So you have like simulation management games, which kind of are two different things, right? Like you have like Power Wash Simulator, which
Sure.
isn't especially like very very popular, but isn't as far as I know not very like mechanically crunchy. It's not like a
Yeah,
number crunching game the way like Slay the Spire is.
sure.
But then you have like Motorsport Manager or Football Manager or something like that, like those which are very number crunchy things.
Sure.
um then the next one is Open World Survival Craft, which okay, I can maybe buy that. And then after that, it's multiplayer co-op, which maybe if
I mean,
I
we're
don't know.
calling Hive Jump in that category. I mean, and Hive Jump,
Right.
was able to reach some success for sure. But
Mhm.
our co-op was made even stronger by Steam support through like remote play together and a couple other features like that. So I can't take, we can't take complete credit there, but yeah,
It's like, yeah, that's a genre that would include Hive Jump, and then it'd include like Valheim,
sure,
like which was a very popular
yeah,
game, So, and then so you have puzzle. Puzzle apparently is the most popular category by far. Like it doubles the next highest.
okay,
The next highest is actual sexual content.
okay,
So
great,
you've got kind of adult oriented games, and then you've got puzzle games, which is interesting. But I think puzzle is such a like a broad category
yeah,
that like it can be applied to so many things. Like so many games, like I mean, really, when you think about it, and every game's kind of a puzzle game, right?
sure,
Like even like a FPS or like some kind of shooter or something. Like you are depending on like how abstract you want to get to it, like
yeah,
you could view of like, okay, like how do you balance like spending ammo versus shooting enemies and finding cover, like all are kind of like
sure,
it's all things that take some amount of thought and some amount of problem solving to deal with. But not that I think like these are I guess prescribed genre categories that we're talking about. So I don't think like a ton of FPS games are going to be like, actually, when you think about it, we're kind of a puzzle game.
yeah,
But it is a label that would go on to any kind of match 3 game. It would go on to any kind of like puzzle platformer. It would
yeah.
go on to you know I could
I don't
see
even
kind
know
of a
what else
lot of
is out
like
there. I mean, it's not like,
miscellaneous kind of weird kind of games like could easily get like a puzzle tag like
sure.
thrown onto it.
Well, I mean, you've got some very, beloved puzzle games like Baba Is You and stuff, but like, I mean, are people really going to Steam to play like Tetris? Like, is that is that it? Like people are getting Tetris and that drives it up or something? Like I don't know. Like it just doesn't seem like a genre that I hear people talking about very frequently. But maybe I'm just in that circle that is into different genres. I don't know.
And so I was kind of thinking like my thought with like puzzle games and platformers and things like that, like I think I mentioned on one of these streams where maybe my perception of, or the perception of platformers when I was in school was like, oh, like easy, like I can make a puzzle game. Like I feel like, or a platformer, I mean,
Okay.
where I think like puzzle games and platformers wind up having, or potentially having, kind of a lot of like static elements where, you know, you look at like a run and jump level, you know, most of what we're seeing is just static geometry, right?
Sure.
And then we have enemies that are moving in very simple ways. Collectibles are a fairly easy thing to, you know, rough in and get working. And then the most complicated part is just run and jump, you know, moving around and doing stuff. So I think you can wind up getting a lot of games released as platformers because they are like relatively simple to get off the ground and kind of just get going.
Yeah.
Puzzle games can kind of be a similar thing, right? Where it really depends on what kind of puzzle game we're talking about. But if we're talking about like a Sokoban kind of pushing blocks around and, you know, get this key in this gap and then, you know, stuff
Sure.
like that, also isn't a lot of like, you know, very little dynamism, you know, which makes for a comparably easier thing to put together, or at least one to like put together in like a rougher state.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was thinking, is like I bet like a lot of students and a lot of like, you know, solo people and a lot of like small teams or whatever can make like platformers and puzzle games like relatively quickly and because maybe they are like amateur teams, maybe these things don't have wide appeal of a game that would take like a big team a lot of time and effort to put into, like Civilization, a 4X game, you know what I mean?
Well, and I think with puzzle in particular, and this isn't to put any of those categories in a higher spot or lower spot, but just I think you can get to the charm of a puzzle game with very, very simple pieces. And like a 4X game just requires thousands of pieces, right? So you're talking about a very large investment and you know, just the sheer time. But also once getting 1,000 pieces, like putting together a 10,000 piece puzzle, literally in meta, you know, that takes some time, and that's like kind of what those 4X games are versus putting together a much smaller, more focused, you know, section. But I also think platformers, because a lot of us have grown up playing platformers. And I work with students all the time, and even younger students, and they're playing platformers less and less, and they're playing first-person shooters more and more. Their first big exposure to game franchises now is coming in a lot through Fortnite. So I think we're going to see that FPS being a lot more of there's a, you know, my first game is going to be an FPS or something like that. So I think that might be taking the crown from platformers a little bit, just because of how popular games like Fortnite have become. And just because of how much like WYSIWYG, you know, game editors there are for first person shooters. I mean, the first game that I ever modded, John, was like Duke Nukem. It was a 3D, you know, first person shooter. So, yeah, I don't know. What's next on the videos list of things to drive wish list to support launch and that sort of thing?
Well, it talks about, let's see. Sorry, I gotta find it. I'm not actually sure what he goes into next.
I know one big category that he was talking about was like the value of social media. So like, hey, you need to be on TikTok and off Twitter. Oh. And that was one that you and I talked about at length, because when we were doing Hive Jump, Twitter was a very important part of our Kickstarter fundraising campaign. We saw more Kickstarter backers come from Twitter than we did any other location. We had more followers on Twitter than we did any other location. We had about 10,000 followers on HiveJump's Twitter account at peak, and the video is saying that that's not how it is anymore. Is that Twitter's just, it's not going to be where you're going to get wish lists specifically. You might still get a following, but you won't get wish lists. And that one was kind of harder for me to let go. You know, we used it so well with HiveJump that I was like, oh, this is the one that we know. I don't know TikTok so well, but I know Twitter. So, you know, get ready, Mr. Run and Jump. Your Twitter account is going to be on fire. And this guy says Twitter not so much. How do you feel about that?
You know, it makes sense to me, like that particular aspect, because of how kind of compromised Twitter has been as of late, you know?
Yeah.
But, and yeah, like my understanding is Twitter was never really great for kind of driving engagement like that. Like people go on Twitter, but they don't often leave Twitter. Was I think a lot of the conversation I would see. I think it's good for building. You know, it's possible to go viral on Twitter and get some like brand awareness like that, but you wind up people, you know, scrolling through this and then they don't leave the feed, right?
Got it. It makes sense.
But then, yeah, like, you know, as of late, you know, Twitter's been hemorrhaging users, and then there's all kinds of like, you know, Twitter replacements coming online, you know, threads and everything. So Blue Sky, all that, and yeah, it's been a tough time, I guess, for that audience. Like, you know, they're kind of getting scattered to the wind, and no one really knows kind of where they're landing. So there's not really a great centralized zone for, you know, I want to say like Twitter users anymore. But the video says, you know, according to this guy, it is festivals, like online festivals are the number one, like by far in a huge way, the biggest driver of wish lists for, you know, early Steam games. So this is stuff like Steam Next Fest, which we were part of. You know, any kind of publisher sale, any kind of like genre sale, like there's like Puzzle Fest and, you know, other stuff that kind of Steam will do like that. These are the biggest way, like demos, like putting a demo and going on these things are the number one way to get wish lists.
Well, we certainly saw that through Next Fest. Like we did have Next Fest demos live. We did stream during Next Fest. We did get lots of visibility during those streams, which were featured by Valve on the homepage. And we saw the wish list come through during those events. So I can definitely vouch that that one is moving the needle more so than my, you know, couple of tweets per day, you know. So yeah, I can certainly validate and verify that one. So now it's just thinking about like what other festivals, you know, make good sense for a game like this one. And one thing that he mentioned in the same line as festivals is that in-person festivals, no-go.
He said that's a no-go, which is interesting. I mean, we've done like PAX. We've done PAX South. We took HiveJump there like way back. They don't even do PAX South anymore.
PAX South stopped during the pandemic. Yeah.
Right.
So we did PAX South twice. The whole team went one year, and then we took it back again when we were launching as part of their PAX Rising collection. So yeah, and in both cases, I feel like we got lots of visibility from being at those events. I'll admit, I wasn't really watching the wish list meter go up, so I don't know if, you know, it really did impact it or if it didn't. And this was a couple of years ago, so if this video was made from 2019 data, man, now we have 2020, 2021. A lot changed with in-person events during the pandemic, so we might be looking at kind of a new world here as it relates to in-person festivals and such.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then there's that. So yeah, who knows how that's affecting the data? But then there's also the fact of like, well, you're not online already looking at it. Like if you're on Steam, you go to a Steam festival, you're right there.
Right.
It's one click away, and then you can instantly wishlist something.
Yeah.
Whereas like a festival, you can give them cards. You can say like they play your demo. You can give them a thing or a poster or whatever you can give them.
Sure.
To be like, hey, remember to wishlist this when you get home. But then that's kind of a crapshoot. But
sure.
But yeah, so there's festivals like that, and then the next biggest way to get wish lists was he said having a combination of a demo that people can go and play and streamers.
Sure.
So finding streamers to play the game, finding people who are fans of the genre, that you're working in, or just like generalist people. But he points out like, hey, you give streamers a demo that they can kind of dive into, and maybe this goes into like that genre discussion where if you watch a streamer and they're playing a game with a lot of kind of dynamic systems in it, you are going to be under the impression that you are going to have you could have a fundamentally different experience from what the streamer had, as opposed to something like Run and Jump where you watch us play. It's going to be 1-1 every time. It's going to be, we've been playing through the Violet world. We've been having to kind of limit what we show everybody, kind of to preserve that surprise, or to preserve kind of those elements of like, well, you've seen us play through World 1, but there's, 5 other worlds you can play through.
Sure.
But yeah, that was kind of it. That was the number 2, is give streamers a demo and have them play it. And, then that's a whole conversation, right? Of like, okay, like who do we get? Who can we get? Who's into these types of games? Because there's a lot of like big streamers, but we're not like a big team. We're not like super well known. Run and Jump's not hotly anticipated by like a huge number of people. So it's like, you run into that like attention issue again of like, okay, how do we stand out if we're sending like, a popular streamer, check us out.
Sure. Well, and I think like the anticipation one, that one's a little harder to judge, because I think there are quite a few people that are, I think what we're doing with the XP card and with this game, I think is really notable. We've been able to see a lot of coverage that we haven't gotten on previous games based on that combination. But the one that is interesting to me
I mean, like we're not like Silk Song, what I mean? Like we're not a huge number of
the
people.
Kingdom or whatever. Yeah, no, I get that.
There's certainly people who are hotly anticipating Run and Jump, but
yeah. Well, I think it's the difference of like having some of these brands established versus building them. Like we're building this brand newly, this character newly, that just takes certainly more effort to kind of get that ball rolling. But in terms of streamers, I thought it was interesting because 2 of the streamers he mentioned that was very indie friendly, both covered Hive Jump years ago when they were growing, and now they're among some of probably the top 4 or 5 that cover indie games. And to me, it's just reinforced that like when we launch games, we're not only saving attention for like the ones that have hundreds of thousands of followers. Wonderbots and Splattercat were 2 mentioned in this video. Both had followings in sub 6 figures when they covered Hive Jump, and have continued to grow, which is satisfying for me. Seeing people grow their audience and get build their audience just like we're building ours, right? So that was kind of cool to see. Yeah. What else is on our list, John? What else? So we've got digital festivals, just like Next Fest, which we've participated in, and we will be participating in others coming up. We have demos, which we have present. We push them for Next Fest in particular, but certainly check that box. We have Twitter. We talked about that one just a little bit, but what else is on his list of things to do?
Well, TikTok was the next one. Okay. TikTok was the next biggest driver of wish lists. which you and you're more of a TikTok head than I am. I don't even I don't think I've seen some TikToks as they've been like reposted elsewhere, but I don't think I've
Sure.
ever been on TikTok. Uh,
It so about 3 years ago, no, 2 years ago actually, because I just got my anniversary announcement. I did a few to figure out TikTok as a curious, producer, marketer, brand guy. I started a TikTok account, and I started it with a hypothesis that I was going to do just simple animation tutorials. I've worked in a software called After Effects for a decade plus, and I love 2D animation. I got my degree in animation. It's how I got into the games industry, is through animation. It's like, I'm going to do animation tutorials on TikTok and just see how it goes. So I did 5 videos. I queued them up. I pushed them through TikTok, and I got way more engagement on TikTok than I did any other medium where I'd started a new account. If I'd have done the same thing on Twitter, I'd have gotten 1 like and a high five, and that's it. But TikTok, I got several, maybe a few thousand views. I got a bunch of likes, few comments, few follows. Way more benefit with way less effort than Twitter, for example, or Instagram or any others. So I told myself in my head, ooh, TikTok is the future. Let's use this to help our game launches. And we experimented a second time with Combinera, and we just didn't get as much. The blood wasn't pumping as much on Combinera's TikTok account. We did good content. It was devlog. It was behind the scenes stuff. It wasn't just some throwaway repost of our trailer. It's good content. Just didn't quite connect with that audience. So we've started again with Mr. Run and Jump, and we've created accounts that show gameplay footage and talk about things that we're doing. And it's back to the first experience. We've gotten some really good fan feedback. We've gotten some likes, some follows, some views, especially. And so I think 2 out of 3 of our experiences, TikTok's been positive. It's been positive beyond the other typical social media. Now, I've not tried Threads, but I think TikTok has some potential. So you can find Mr. Run and Jump on TikTok. And we also have a interesting account that we will share more soon. I'm Mr. Run and Jump if you want to give those a look and see some of the goofiness that we're doing there. But yeah, if you're on TikTok, go give us a follow. Mr. Run and Jump on TikTok. We're posting gameplay clips. We're posting news. We're posting events like our speedrunners event and that sort of thing on TikTok. So if it's your flavor of social media, you'll find good juicy content there from us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So really interesting. I feel like we are just scratching the surface of TikTok, and I feel like going forward, could, like, another thing kind of what you and I have been talking about is like, hey, when do you start talking about the thing you're working on, and how much of a lead up time do you give yourself to build that audience? Because you have like building that like like a solid base of wish lists is so important. Like you kind of want to give yourself a good lead up, because like I say, especially when festivals are the number one with a bullet way of gaining those wish lists, you need, there's only so many of those in a year, so you need kind of a lot of opportunities to put your game out there. So I mean, what, like we have like 3 months with Run and Jump. How long have we been talking about Run and Jump now?
Roughly. I can't remember exactly when we announced, but yeah, certainly longer than we did with Combinera. Hive Jump was unique in that we kickstarted, and I think that kickstarting might have a correlation to those larger wish lists, because we launched Hive Jump, we had about 30,000 on our wish list. And I think, yeah, you've got Kickstarter, which already is going to give you a few thousand probably. But people don't, at least at this time, this was 2015, people were not at that time kickstarting and then immediately launching. They were like literally kickstarting the game, like we're starting now, and the game's going to come out in like a year, maybe 2 years. So you had 2 years where people knew about Hive Jump before we launched. And we also did early access. So we've got 3 experiences. We've got Hive Jump, where we had like 2 years of talk about it time. We have Combinera, which was actually quite a bit faster. Combinera we announced, and then we came out pretty quickly thereafter. And then Mr. Run and Jump's kind of in the middle with about a 90-day lead, give or take, a week or two. But we're seeing we're seeing a variety of timelines for this kind of stuff, and I do think that getting as much time as you're able. But one warning he gave was you need to give yourself, if you give yourself like a year, you have to have things to talk about in that year. If you're doing one of those very simple puzzle games we were talking about earlier, having it out for 2 years is not gonna, give you much. So longer announcement windows for games that have more content to talk about is plus. I also
Yeah.
thought it was interesting when he mentioned even if your game gets delayed, that is a news beat that you can talk about. And I was like, whoa, hold up. Are people deliberately delaying their games just so they'll get another news beat? And like the way he phrased it is he doesn't think people are doing that deliberately, but like it doesn't hurt your game to get delayed because you go for another news cycle and everybody will talk about it again and you'll get that extra Polygon post and fans will grumble on Twitter and it'll just push you back into the public eye. And thought, oh man, was it black hat marketing of like, oh, we're gonna, yeah,
from Graphite Lab, we'll do Run and Jump 2 out in 3 months. And
well, you look at Team Cherry, they've made a spectacle about right? I mean, Team Cherry has made a spectacle out of Silksong, like, in the lack of information on a launch date. And it's almost meme worthy with how much they've forced, or not forced, but pushed on that. So I don't know.
Well, I don't know that was them necessarily. I don't pay too much attention to Team Cherry. I don't want to, make that claim. I know it's like a thing.
Allow me to be clear and to rephrase. The community has placed a lot of emphasis on the fact that there is no launch date. And that continues to give energy to that marketing campaign because there is no launch date.
Mm-hmm. Here I guess the next biggest way to get wish lists according to this video is Reddit, which I've poked at Reddit. I've tried to get us some attention on some of these subreddits. I've tried to get us on the speed running Reddit. Couldn't do it. The problem we've had with Reddit is they are like highly moderated to the point where like they really don't want a lot of advertising on there, at least most subreddits. There are some that are a lot friendlier, but even like r/gaming, one of these big ones, I thought would just accept any general gaming news thing, like
right.
I thought like we can get on there, but no, actually it turns out we can't.
Whoops.
They take down our post like within the hour. Even like r/Atari, I tried to post on there and I got taken down.
No
I'm like,
luck,
what is happening?
What authentication do they want for r/Atari? What are they looking for? Just the fact that it was considered advertising?
I looked at their rules. They didn't it didn't seem like we were breaking anything, but I guess so. I guess no advertising, and then I don't know if like
r/Atari in its sense is an advertisement, just having that be a thing. Anyway, go ahead.
I couldn't tell if that was like a official Atari like has that subreddit, or if it's like a community Atari. Like there were a lot of pictures of like, oh, look at my 2600 like kind of stuff, or like look what I picked up at a yard sale, like and it's like pictures of Pac-Man and all that. But and then there's like I don't know how they check for this, but there's kind of like a rule of thumb of like they want you, if you're going to post on Reddit, you got to be like an active member of the Reddit community writ large.
All right.
So they do, like, people have talked about like, oh, you have to have a 9-to-1 ratio of like, if you're going to try to do advertising, you have to have, if you're going to make one advertising post, you have to have 9 other things that aren't advertising.
All right.
So they want you to be like deep in like the Reddit ecosystem and have like a whole presence on there beyond just trying to sell your thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I can't fault them for that, but it is a little bit confusing of like, all right, how do I, is that why I got my post pulled? Is it something else? So not super clear, but I guess I don't fault
Mhm.
them for wanting to like keep a little bit of community focus in there. But I see stuff on our
Yeah,
game dev all the time, questions from aspiring developers that I would love to answer. So maybe I'll have to get into that a little bit more.
yeah, it could be.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it's a tricky ecosystem. I mean, I'm into it. Like I appreciate the lengths people go to get rid of advertising. Um, the problem is like now I'm here trying to advertise something. It's like, oh God.
Yeah, other side of the coin, John.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
hmm,
So it's like if you can get on Reddit and you can get like a popular post that gets upvoted a lot and is
sure.
like, front page of some kind of specific subreddit for a long time, numbers look pretty good. You can get a lot of wish lists that way. Pretty close to the amount you can get or the highest you can get with TikTok,
Sure.
according to the graph I'm looking at.
I know.
Um, uh, the next way that is mentioned here is like traditional press. So you get articles on Kotaku or Polygon or
Sure.
Video Games Chronicle or any of these sites, right?
Yeah.
Which we've actually done pretty well on.
I think we've
we've
done great with Run and Jump. There's such an
we
interesting story there with the 2600 cartridge and the new one coming out that there's been sites that we've never gotten the level of coverage that we've gotten present on this one, which is really flattering and exciting.
mhm.
So I'm hoping to see
Didn't we
that.
get like Forbes or something or
There is a
something
separate Forbes gaming thread now, yeah, that
okay.
writes about games. So it's good to see that. Um, Artifice has something in the chat. When you run actual ads on Reddit, they ask you what types of subreddits you want to target.
Hmm.
So there may be an option there to actually just run straight up ads, like just bite the bullet and spend some money. Um, yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting. Um,
yeah,
but
mm,
but yeah,
yeah.
traditional press. I know the video kind of breaks it down, like I forget which sites are the best and which are the worst. But um,
Hmm.
but after that, kind of way in the back is, I guess, more traditional social media.
Sure.
So that's where kind of
Twitter,
Twitter
Facebook,
fell. That's where like Facebook and Instagram are, like
sure,
sites that you almost get no wish lists from.
right.
And it doesn't mean those sites are bad or that they are not good for awareness or whatever, um, but they don't necessarily translate to the metrics that Steam is looking for, to boost us in the algorithm, right?
All
It's
for the
more about, I
algo,
guess, like that public mind share
for
of
real.
just like
Yeah,
general awareness.
yeah. Awesome.
Um,
Well, we're in our last 10 minutes of the stream. Usually this is when we start talking about raids and when we start doing some speed runs. I was feeling pretty good. I got like a 58 in there. So we'll need to be
yeah, I
thinking about
wasn't
who
paying
we're
attention.
raiding. Just casual runs today, John. I'm just casual, but I got a 58. Feeling pretty good about that one. So I might do a few here for reels. And was there anything else from that article though? Anything else on the list, or is that pretty much it?
I think that's pretty much it.
So as a recap, you're looking at driving wish lists. You're going to want to hit those festivals, digital festivals primarily. You want to
Hmm.
push a demo. You want to push streamers. You're going to want to push TikTok. You're going to want to push influencers of that sort. Back burner things like Twitter and Facebook from this particular video and article. And pushing those wish lists up are going to drive you into that Steam algorithm, get you in that new and upcoming popular lists, which hopefully will turn into some eyeballs that align well with your game and hopefully bring you some financial success for the work that you guys might be working on. So,
Yeah. And it's interesting, like this is just for Steam, which is
right,
the most readily available for, indie developers and things like that. But it doesn't even touch on like Switch and PlayStation and
right,
Xbox, which all have their own ecosystems. And Lord knows with the Epic Game Store and, like there's so many other things like that where it's like, this is the depth you get into like one platform.
sure,
And it is like one of the biggest, but but yeah, it's there can certainly be success to be had on like PlayStation and all that.
Absolutely.
But truly no idea. I don't
Well,
know
and I
how to.
think the thing about Valve that I appreciate is they allow their backend to connect with a lot of analytics tools. So things like Google Analytics and others to just help and understand how you're getting your users, your viewers, and such. They make that pretty accessible. You cannot get that same level of transparency with like your Switch page, with your PlayStation page, um, as far as I know. Um, so I think that's where the study of how everything works related to Steam gets so much conversation is you just have so many more tools to just look at the data and to make those assessments versus just purely guessing. Um, but
Yeah.
this run is dead. 6 more minutes.
Here it's tricky. I was wondering, like, I've heard this conversation around like music, like where do you hear about new music?
Sure.
Because like radio's not really a thing.
Yeah.
It's like, well, who like just where are kind of like where do people go and learn about new things, right?
Yeah.
And the same applies to games. It's like, I feel like when I think about it, like there are like YouTube channels I look at, there are podcasts I listen to, sometimes I do just go on Steam and I just kind of look at like,
Yeah.
I've definitely, I was in like a hankering mood for puzzle games, funny enough, like a hardcore kind of like Sokoban style puzzle game. And I was just messing with the search algorithm, like just trying to find some stuff. So yeah. What about you? Like, is there anywhere you go specifically to find like new stuff that you're interested in?
So the things that I purchase are either going to be part of franchises that I've already known, or I learned from our team. Um, Inscription, I never would have found Inscription had it not been my team members talking about it. Loved the game, played through it. It was awesome. Heavily referred to me by you and several others on the team. Um, so I pull from, we'll just say generally, my friend group, right? The people that I work with. That's who I take my game recommendations from. I can't remember the last time. Maybe when I first bought my Switch, I'd scroll through the eShop and just see what was there. And I remember buying Golf Story because I thought it was interesting to have a pixel version of golf, which is a game that's not usually dramatized very often. You don't hear about people playing golf games unless they're into the sport of golf. So I picked up
Mhm.
that one because it showed up in my eShop, games to look at feed. Um, and that discoverability is the one that I think that we've studied the most as a team is what's the first party, Nintendo, Valve, PlayStation, and where's kind of their featured and curated lists and how do you get onto those? We've done a lot of mobile games at Graphite. We don't do them as much anymore, but Apple features and Google features would take your game and drive the downloads up 1000% just to have it included in one of their category features. You can't pay for that kind of exposure. You have to be selected. And um, but with Apple, there was kind of some weaving you could do. It wasn't algorithm based. Apple really curated that section, and I think to some degree Nintendo does that a lot too. Their top sellers algorithm based, but like their eShop deals and stuff like that is a little bit more of, you know, kind of building relationship with Nintendo, having popularity as a game and that sort of thing. So, um,
Mhm.
I don't buy a ton of games anymore. I dabble in a lot, but um, so I'm probably the type of player that looks at some of those featured lists, and I don't really go hunting for real obscure things unless I hear from somebody that it's like a game that I love or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. It really feels like the modern landscape for media in general is like, a million like micro communities.
sure.
Like everyone just kind of has their own little ecosystem of,
Yeah,
from various platforms, various lists, various just everything. There's not just like, a nice like big, it felt like it used to be like if you can get on IGN or something like
sure.
that's like, okay, a million people are going to see your thing. But That's just kind of not how it works anymore.
Not
So
anymore.
it's really tough, man. It's
Even up and coming systems like Netflix, right? There's lots on Netflix that comes out that we still don't even see. You know, not everything is like the Netflix blockbuster Stranger Things or whatever. They have their own carousels and they have their own algorithms, and you could make media content for Netflix and goes nowhere, right? So all of these storefronts really have been kind of copying from Apple all this time, because like the App Store back in like what 2008 was like one of the first like fully digital stores. That the Wii had the C Shop and stuff like, but those were really in their kind of infancy. And the ones as they've been being built have continued to kind of replicate what Apple's been doing, um, and using those like category features and doing things like that. So um, yeah, so we'll see. About 10, 11 days left, John. Coming out July 25th, on consoles everywhere. Pre-orders for the 2600 version come out at the end of this month. So if you're into getting the collector's edition 2600 version, stay tuned and look out for that. But otherwise, we'll be back here next Friday doing another stream. At that point, only a couple days away from launch, which will be exciting. And yeah, we'll have some other things to announce closer to that time.
If you haven't, go to Steam right now.
Wishlist the game.
Look for Mr. Run and Jump. We spent an hour talking about how damn important it is for you to go and do this thing.
Help us out.
Please, you spent all this time with us. Please, like, what are you doing? Come on.
And then go out for ice
favor.
cream. Buy yourself a sundae, get good warm feelings, know that you've done some good to support your local friendly neighborhood game developer.
I bet if you found Raithel in real life and you're like, hey, I wishlisted the game, you would at least get a firm handshake, I'm sure.
An enthusiastic high five. I teach you a secret handshake. It'd be amazing.
And maybe if you're really lucky, he'll buy you some ice cream.
Fair enough. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back next Friday. It is time to raid. Catch you later.
Yeah. Do we have a raid person?